Yuanzhou was unconcerned. He sat down and placed all the fresh beef and lamb on the table. Me? I'm just afraid you'll eat random things outside. What you fear most comes true. Don't eat too much of this hot pot today. Just satisfy your craving. Your stomach needs time to recover. Yunyan slammed her chopsticks down. Can't eat spicy pot, barely allowed to eat clear broth, and not even allowed to get full. I might as well not eat. Xiaomin rested her chin on her hand. Then you'd be letting down your brother's kind intentions. He bought all your favorites. Yuanzhou smiled and put the chopsticks back in her hand. You now be good and eat light for a few days. Once your stomach feels better, I'll take you out for something delicious. Nanzhou cuisine was light, and those days she was restless and had no mind to look for snack streets. After arriving in Chang'an, she hadn't had a satisfying meal. When Xiaomin picked her up and asked what she wanted for dinner, she blurted out, hot pot. The temperature in Beishur was getting colder, and a winter night called for a hot pot meal, especially an old Chongqing butter spicy hot pot. Blanching a piece of tender beef in it was truly satisfying. Xiaomin was reliable. She was about to book a restaurant without a second thought, but Yunyan didn't want to go to a restaurant. She always felt that eating hot pot should be a lively affair gathered at home. As for whose house to choose, Yunyan smiled. Your house is the most suitable. Xiaomin feigned annoyance. So, you know the smell lingers, and you deliberately pick someone else's house to wreak havoc, do you? Yunyan gave her reasons. Yu Zhuanzhou's place is too quiet, and I haven't hired a housekeeper. Yours is the most suitable, being in a bustling downtown area. We can get anything we need anytime, and most importantly, there's a housekeeper to help clean afterward. Xiaomin didn't let Yuanzhou idle. She called him and asked if he had any social engagements that night. He had plans. But knowing Yunyan wanted hot pot for dinner, Yuanzhou canceled his engagements without a second thought. All that hurried preparation, only to end up with a light broth hot pot and blanched vegetables to satisfy a craving. If Yunyan had known, she would have just gone for a brass hot pot directly. Eating hot pot and gossiping, now that was truly a pleasure in life. Xiaomin said, if I were GZ's manager, I would never let her take such a foolish step. She's someone who is painstakingly groomed, and she's not completely ruined. Finding an opportunity to transition would be better than demeaning herself like this. Yunyan said, GZ is an adult. Her manager can't control her decisions. Someone who has burned her bridges cannot be pulled back, even by 10 oxen. She paused, then added, moreover, there's a child in her belly. That's an irreversible fact. Xiaomin pondered for a moment, then looked at Yuanzhou. What do you think about this? Yuanzhou wasn't actually interested in GZ's affairs, so he couldn't offer any specific thoughts. He merely reminded Yunyan, it's best to reduce contact with the Jiang family during this time. I'll talk to Grandma Jiang again. Now that things have escalated to this point, the Jiang family will have to take a stand. His meaning was clear. Xiaomin subconsciously glanced at Yunyan. How could Yunyan not know what Yuanzhou meant? He wanted her not to get too close to Jiang Yunyan. She didn't speak, sighing inwardly. She wanted that too. The Jiang family was in turmoil, as GZ's matter continued to escalate. Grandma Jiang, who usually kept to herself and rarely went out, made an unprecedented outing today to meet with her old friends. She didn't expect to hear from them that she was soon to have a great-grandson. The old lady's first thought was undoubtedly Yunyan. Although she knew she shouldn't have such an idea, she still somewhat hoped something had happened between Jiang Zhe and Yunyan, so she felt a little anticipation after hearing the news. That was until she saw what was trending. Grandma Jiang was seething with anger. After returning to the Jiang residence, her blood pressure rose from fury, and she lay in bed, unwilling to see anyone. You scoundrel! Jiang Yinping slapped Jiang Zhe hard across the face, trembling with rage. Jiang Zhe covered his face, kneeling before Grandma Jiang's bed, his eyes filled with grievance. Tang Hui sat beside him, her eyes red. Though her heart ached for her son being beaten, it couldn't overcome the anger in her heart. All day, Jiang Yinping looked as if he had aged 10 years. One trending topic had drained all his efforts. He had calculated everything, but he hadn't accounted for public opinion falling on his son, nor had he anticipated that the sudden trending topic would completely disrupt his plans. He no longer had time to worry about releasing information about Yunyan and Jiang Yunyan. Clearly, even if released, it would backfire and only alert the enemy. Jiang Yinping tried to find people to suppress the trending topic, but he couldn't stop people from continuously releasing information online, catching him completely off guard. The key was that a child was involved. Jiang Zhe, covering his face, hastily explained, the child definitely isn't mine. I always took precautions with her. Always. Grandma Jiang nearly died of anger upon hearing this. She sat up in bed, her finger trembling as she pointed at Jiang Zhe. What did you say before? Didn't you say you only made that one mistake? Good for you, you brat. You've even lied to your grandmother now. Grandma, get out. Jiang Zhe was punished with kneeling again. While he knelt, Tang Hui asked him, "Can you be sure she's not carrying your child?" Jiang Zhe was speechless for a moment. Enraged, Tang Hui raised her hand to hit him too, trembling all over. "You wicked son, you just kneel here for me." The old lady didn't even want to see them as a family. Jiang Yinping and his wife returned to their room, their faces grim with worry. Angry as she was, Tang Hui was also very clear-headed. She would absolutely not let Jizi marry into the family. To put it bluntly, it's still uncertain whether that child is truly of the Jiang family. People like her only cling to the wealthy. Who knows what other men she's involved with? Tang Hui said. Jiang Yinping had dominated the business world for years. How could he tolerate being manipulated by such a matter? And even if he didn't say it aloud, he despised Jizi in his heart. When things are out of the ordinary, there's always a hidden agenda. But this particular hidden agenda was hard to uncover. Even taking a step back, even if one knew who the mastermind was, proving it with evidence would be difficult. Any discerning person could clearly see that Jizi's all-or-nothing move was designed to force the Jiang family to take a stand. They couldn't just keep feigning ignorance, could they? While Jizi's improper conduct naturally drew widespread condemnation, Jiang Zhe, who had betrayed their engagement, also faced merciless criticism. To be able to make a deal with Jizi, you've really stooped to her level, especially since there are so few people in the entertainment industry you even bother to look at. While the internet buzzed with activity, the clubhouse was exceptionally serene. Mora claimed to have been traveling, but in reality, she had followed Jiang Yinyan back to Beishir shortly after him. Just as scandals filled the air, Mora waited until the next day, finally unable to hold back, and called Jiang Yinyan. She thought he would make an excuse about being busy. Instead, he was silent for a moment on the phone, then said all right. He agreed to meet, and had Old Liu arrange a suitable location. Deep in the financial district, suspended above the city's bustle. It was like viewing the intricate lives of mortals from the perspective of the gods. The clubhouse was sparsely populated at this hour, and Mora seemed at ease. She didn't appear as angry as she had imagined she would when seeing Jiang Yinyan again, as if the event in Nanzhou had never happened. As the esteemed daughter of the Mora family, she still possessed the skill of emotional control. Waiters served tea, fruit, coffee, and green tea, a rich variety of refreshments. There were also roasted chestnuts, chestnut puree, and chestnut cake, exquisite seasonal pastries for the approaching winter. Mora loved chestnut cake, and the chestnuts in Beishir this season, even eaten plain, were incredibly sweet. After hearing Jiang Yinyan's words, she openly admitted, "Yes, I did give that film empress a hand, didn't I?" "A hand." Jiang Yinyan only drank plain tea, his eyelids lifting slightly as if amused, giving her a glance before pouring himself more tea. "When did you learn to stoop so low? How pitiful is Jizi, carrying Jiang Zhe's child, yet unable to gain recognition. It's one thing for adults, but when a child is involved, they can't go their whole life not knowing who their father is, can they?" Mora said lightly, as if a gentle breeze. Jiang Yinyan seemed to hear a joke and laughed. "Then isn't Jiang Zhe even more pitiful? He's a father, yet he's the last to know, even less prescient than an outsider like you." Mora couldn't possibly miss his sarcasm and decided to drop the pretense. "Yes, I've been keeping an eye on Jizi ever since I came to Beishir and met Yunyan." Jizi and Jiang Zhe's ambiguous relationship was already unfair to Yunyan. Now that Jizi is pregnant, this matter can no longer be hidden. By helping Jizi, haven't I also conveniently helped Yunyan? What's wrong with killing two birds with one stone? Jiang Yinyan brewed his tea unhurriedly, his expression always placid. He waited for Mora to finish, then spoke. Jizi's affair with Jiang Zhe, initially, was most likely driven by ambition. But Jiang Zhe's stance was clear. He was determined to form a marital alliance with the Yu family. So, even if Jizi had 10 times the courage, she wouldn't dare harbor improper thoughts, let alone after her reputation was damaged and popularity plummeted following the last public incident. She is well aware of the Jiang family's background. Even if pregnant, at most, she would privately seek Jiang Zhe to deal with this. To put it bluntly, her ambition now only extends to using the child to further her career in the entertainment industry. He raised his hand to scoop tea and continued. "But with your backing, it's different. You've reignited her ambition to marry into the Jiang family, making her believe that with just the child in her belly, she can kick out Yunyan and replace her as the eldest grandson's wife of the Jiang family." Mora stared at him, the corners of her mouth stiffening slightly. "So, you already knew about Jizi's pregnancy?" Jiang Yinyan's expression was calm. "You can follow Jizi. Why can't I?" Mora narrowed her eyes slightly. When Jizi first suspected she was pregnant, she went to a small private hospital and saw an obstetrician recommended by an acquaintance. At the time, she didn't want to make it public and intended to deal with the child as soon as she got Jiangze's promise. But then you appeared, and she dared to make a big fuss at the hospital invested in by the Jiang family. Mora wasn't stupid and quickly guessed Jiang Yinyan's motive. You're keeping an eye on GZ because of Yunyan, aren't you? Jiang Yinyan took a light sip of tea, glanced at her, and said nothing. You know everything. You watch everyone's actions, yet you remain silent. Mora put down her fork, staring at his face. Like this trending topic, as a member of the Jiang family, you allowed public opinion to spiral out of control. So your motive is also clear, isn't it? Seeing that he remained silent, she continued. With a child involved, this matter can't be covered up. Yunyan has been trying to break off the engagement with the Jiang family, without success. This is an excellent reason. You knew this would be the outcome, so you didn't interfere with my actions. Jiang Yinyan smiled. Mora! He called her name. Though there was a smile on his face, his tone was faintly cold. An inexplicable chill ran down Mora's spine. You left out a bit of your purpose, didn't you? Jiang Yinyan said slowly. And your true purpose. Mora looked at him warily. You knew Yunyan wanted to break off the engagement. Even if the old matriarch disagreed, this marriage couldn't actually proceed, but it would drag on. The Mora family intended to ally with the Jiang family through marriage, but I disagreed, and the marriage talks between our two families were shelved. Rather than saying you were helping the pregnant GZ, it's more accurate to say that the pregnant GZ conveniently helped you. You believe that as long as the eldest branch could marry off quickly, I would naturally become anxious, and thus the marriage between our two families could be put back on the agenda. To put it plainly, Mora, you were entirely doing this for yourself. The so-called 3 birds with 1 stone, the last bird was the crucial one. Mora's hand clenched and then relaxed. She looked at him for a long time, then realized, I understand. You knew about GZ, but didn't act immediately, precisely because you calculated that I would make a move. Jiang Yinyan didn't deny it. You are indeed someone who habitually strikes first to gain the upper hand. Are you so certain you can calculate everything without missing a single detail? Mora hesitated. Jiang Yinyan put down his teacup and said as lightly as a breeze, I don't like to walk unknown paths. If I can't borrow others' opportunities, I will create opportunities to make the path ahead smooth. Mora fell silent, her breathing subtly quickening. Indeed, Jiang Yinyan was too cunning. She thought this time she could turn the tables, but all her actions had fallen perfectly within his calculations. Aren't you afraid that GZ's child isn't Jiangze's? Mora said. Jiang Yinyan countered calmly. Then aren't you afraid? Mora pursed her lips. Ultimately, I was gambling. But I imagine, for you to calculate something like this, the element of gambling wouldn't be the majority, would it? Jiang Yinyan smiled, saying nothing. Seeing he wouldn't speak, Mora knew it was pointless to ask further. After a long while, she said, Since we've spoken this far, what do you want? Using her eagerness to make Yunyan sever ties with the Jiang family. And what then? He wouldn't be without a backup plan. Sure enough, Jiang Yinyan said, Mora, whether Jiangze marries sooner or later isn't critical to me. Even if the eldest branch gains the initiative, what I want is still within reach. Mora gasped sharply. I will not marry into the Mora family. So, Mora, don't stake everything on one throw when there's no other choice. By sending GZ into the Jiang family, haven't you blocked your last option? Otherwise, you could still consider Jiangze. Jiang Yinyan said calmly. I don't like Jiangze. Mora frowned. Jiang Yinyan chuckled. You like me? Mora pursed her lips slightly. After a long pause, she asked, Jiang Yinyan, you never explicitly refused before. Why not now? Before was before, now is now. Jiang Yinyan's emotions remained stable. Why not now? Mora stared at him, asking pointedly, is it because of her? Jiang Yinyan stopped drinking tea, leaning back in his chair. Mora, I believe what you should be considering most now is yourself. Or, with the current strength of the Mora family, you might not necessarily need a marital alliance. Mora secretly suppressed her anger. You think everything is under control? You think no one knows about you and Yunyan and Anzhou? What if they do? Jiang Yinyan countered. Are you really not afraid that Jiang Yintao holds leverage? Mora frowned deeply. Jiang Yinyan was unperturbed. He also needs an opportunity to use that leverage. So-called leverage is about timing. If the timing is lost, the leverage is useless. It was then that Mora truly understood Jiang Yinyan's terrifying nature. How could he calculate so precisely? You're not afraid of others knowing, but what about Yunyan? Have you considered her feelings? Even if she breaks off her engagement with the Jiang family, she can't be with you. As long as she's associated with the Jiang family, you two will always be generations apart. Jiang Yinyan smiled. What if we're generations apart? Not to mention she hasn't married into the Jiang family. Even if she agreed to, as long as I want her, I will keep her by my side. You. Mora was shocked, watching him with quickening breaths. You're insane. So, Mora, Let me give you a piece of advice. Never provoke a madman like me, especially those close to me. If you do, don't blame me for disregarding our old family ties. After Mora left, old Lu stepped forward and asked Jiang Yinyan, do you need the car prepared? Director Chun is already on his way to the dinner engagement. Jiang Yinyan remained seated, watching the endless stream of traffic below. Seeing this, old Lu didn't press further. After a long while, he said, Miss Mora was sulking in Nanzhou, and now she's been used as a pawn in GZ's affair. I'm afraid she won't let it rest. Will she cause trouble for Miss Yu? She wouldn't dare trouble her. Jiang Yinyan gestured for him to sit. Old Lu sat down and poured tea for Jiang Yinyan. Jiang Yinyan had said half of what he meant and held back the other half. Old Lu looked up at him. Jiang Yinyan brought his gaze back. Pour tea for old Lu, his voice light. She will approach Yinyan. The Mora family won't easily shift targets. So the trouble isn't Mora, but the family behind her. Old Lu said softly. You already warned her just now. If the Mora family insists on a marital alliance, there are always more solutions than problems. Old Lu believed that statement. After a long time, old Lu quietly asked again, Young Master Yin, are you really certain that the child in GZ's belly is young Master Zhang's? Mora had asked the same question just now. Mora hadn't lied. She was indeed gambling on the child in GZ's belly. If GZ said it was his, she was willing to believe it. After all, 10 months of pregnancy first resolved the immediate issues. But Jiang Yinyan couldn't afford to. All he had was a meticulously planned strategy. Facing the same question from old Lu, Jiang Yinyan actually answered, his casual tone sending a chill down one's spine. Whose child GZ is truly carrying isn't important. What's important is that the child can only be Jiang Zhe's, at least for now. It must be. Old Lu, ever composed, thought for a moment and said, ever since you returned to the Jiang family, Jiang Yintao has been guarding against you. I'm afraid he won't comply obediently in this matter. Of course, he won't sit idly and be caught. Jiang Yinyan sneered. After finally catching some vague hints of leverage, he will surely look for opportunities to stir up trouble again. A rat hiding in a gutter. Despicable tactics ultimately cannot be brought to light. It doesn't matter. If we truly want to compare despicable tactics, haven't we seen enough in the past? Old Lu sighed softly. I'm afraid the old matriarch can't bear to see such things. Jiang Yintao is good at acting. Making the old matriarch believe in brotherly harmony isn't difficult for him. If he wants to act, I'm happy to cooperate. Jiang Yinyan's eyes were cold, but he will eventually have to pay for what he's done. He slowly spun his teacup, scoffing. It doesn't matter, there's a long way to go. What about Miss Yu? Old Lu asked. Jiang Yinyan looked up at him. She's very smart. Now that she has an out, she doesn't need me to teach her how to extricate herself. Old Lu smiled. That's true. After saying that, old Lu fell silent. Jiang Yinyan noticed the hint in his expression. Ask whatever you want to ask. Old Lu then asked honestly, Young Master Yin, are you truly without scruples? Jiang Yintao's power is deeply entrenched. If you want to uproot him, it will inevitably cause turmoil throughout the Jiang family. There's nothing wrong with turmoil. Turmoil brings danger. Danger brings opportunity. What's feared in this world is not chaos, but stagnation. Jiang Yinyan was perfectly composed, yet a sinister darkness flickered in his eyes. What Jiang Yintao owes me what I lost. I will take it all back one by one. Old Lu saw the look in his eyes, so ruthless it made one breathless. But Jiang Yinyan looked up at him. Old Lu brave-net himself and continued. But Miss Yu knows nothing. She is quite innocent. Innocent. Jiang Yinyan smiled faintly, but his words were like sharp blades. She wasn't innocent when she was infatuated with Zhan Xuan. Old Lu's mouth opened and closed, his expression somewhat unnatural. Jiang Yinyan's gaze was indifferent. Memories drifted far away, those old times and the girl who radiated light. Finally, his thoughts settled on that girl's eyes from back then, the way she looked at Zhan Xuan. An infatuation and affection he had never seen before. He had never seen her so cautious, not even daring to meet the gaze of that senior. Such a proud girl, a pampered daughter of heaven raised with a silver spoon. Yet she too had moments of shyness when approaching love. Jiang Yinyan narrowed his eyes slightly, his chest feeling terribly stuffy and agitated. What is she doing? He asked. He didn't mention names, but old Lu knew who he was asking about. Old Lu cleared his throat, hesitating to speak. Jiang Yinyan's eyelids lifted, the light in his eyes chilling. When he spoke again, his tone was also cold. Have Vice President Lu keep a close eye on tonight's social engagements. Old Lu had a lingering fear. Young Master Yin, it's possible Miss Yu might really be in some trouble. Yin Yan had a meal with Si Tingyuan. More precisely, Si Tingyuan proactively went to Yu Zhuanzhou's company, and Yun Yan happened to be there too. Compared to the Yu Group headquarters located in Jiangnan, Fanyuan Company, the Beishur branch was less than a tenth of the size of the headquarters, both in terms of floor area and corporate scale. It was situated in a commercial building in the CBD subcenter, working to sustain the Yu Group, which had already collapsed back in Jiangnan. Si Tingyuan came to Fanyuan primarily to discuss two projects, which proceeded smoothly. Recently, the Si family had made several significant moves, all orchestrated by Si Tingyuan. He had been flying out of town the past 2 days and had only just flown back to Beishur today. It was clear that Si Tingyuan's position was gradually solidifying. There hadn't been much news of Si Tingyi lately, suggesting he was in hibernation. Neither Yun Yin nor Yuanzhou was interested in the power struggles within the Si family. All they cared about was whether the two projects the companies had just signed could proceed smoothly. Si Tingyuan valued the two companies' projects greatly. Although his cooperation with Fanyuan Company was considered a small-scale project compared to other Si family ventures, its seemingly small scope belied a significant network of connections involved. This was why Si Tingyuan didn't delegate the project after signing it, choosing instead to personally oversee it. The Jiangcheng team was also proceeding in an orderly fashion. After the project was signed, Si Tingyuan delivered the commissioned raw stones. Yuanzhou had previously learned business from Yu Yiyuan, and in this area of appraisal, he was already like an expert. Although Yun Yan lacked experience, she had a keen eye and could immediately discern the market value behind the raw stones. Therefore, as soon as the Jiangcheng team received the raw stones, they immediately began intensive design work. This would be a design brainstorm, and both Si Tingyuan and Yuanzhou gave the Jiangcheng team ample trust and freedom. Si Tingyuan's work focus during this period was on Beishur, and he specifically formed a project team for this project with Fanyuan. When the project team members were introduced, Yun Yin clearly saw that everyone, from the project director to the executives below, was externally recruited, and the requirements were exceptionally strict. Not transferring people from headquarters meant that Si Tingyuan didn't fully trust the people there. He needed a brand new team, entirely his own fresh blood, to collaborate on such an important project. When the two parties were almost done talking, an assistant came in and whispered a few words to Yuanzhou. It seemed there was a temporary situation. Si Tingyuan had originally arranged a banquet. Yuanzhou couldn't attend, but Si Tingyuan still invited Yun Yin, stating that he had important matters to discuss. Before heading to the restaurant, Yun Yin found Yuanzhou and asked him worriedly what was going on. Seeing her worried face, Yuanzhou smiled and said, "Don't overthink it. Mr. Su's side notified us to complete some paperwork. It's nothing serious, but the documents are needed urgently, so I have to prepare them myself." Only then did Yun Yin feel relieved. Returning to Jiangnan was not a smooth journey, but it must be said that Mr. Su, whom they met in Nanzhou, genuinely helped them, and having such a guiding light indeed made things much easier. It was just that Yun Yin hadn't told Yuanzhou that she wouldn't be able to return to Jiangnan. Yuanzhou actually didn't want Yun Yin to be alone with Si Tingyuan. He whispered, "Don't talk for too long. I'll have a driver follow you." Yun Yin was torn between laughter and tears upon hearing this. She nudged him, "Go prepare your documents. I'm a grown woman. Why are you still worrying about me?" However, Yun Yin indeed didn't eat with Si Tingyuan for too long. Mainly, her stomach had been consistently upset since returning from Nanzhou. Even a little extra oil made her uncomfortable. So, her primary reason was not wanting to draw attention to herself in public, constantly running to the restroom in a restaurant. Fortunately, her stomach held up until Si Tingyuan dropped her off at her residential complex. Si Tingyuan was unaware of her condition and mistakenly thought she deliberately didn't want to be alone with him. After turning off the engine, he sighed. "The Zhang family's affairs are now public knowledge. I can help you completely break off the engagement. Wouldn't that be good?" Yun Yin was clear-headed. "Use you? In my opinion, it's not using." Si Tingyuan looked at her. "You can also see it as mutually beneficial." Yun Yin laughed in spite of herself. "So, that's equivalent to me climbing out of one pit just to fall into another?" Hearing this, Si Tingyuan chuckled helplessly. "That sounds a bit hurtful. My description might not be exact, but the fundamental nature is similar," Yun Yin said softly. Si Tingyuan was silent for a moment. "Perhaps your understanding of mutually beneficial is different from what I mean." Yun Yin looked at him. His gaze met hers. Although Jizi's matter has become so public, the Zhang family won't quickly cut ties and mend things. There will inevitably be a struggle, and during this time, you'll surely be implicated. My point is, with me by your side, you won't at least be harassed by the Jiang family. At the same time, I'll also have an opportunity." Yun Yin looked at him softly. "An opportunity to pursue me?" "Yes," Si Tingyuan smiled. "Between adults, some things don't need to be stated so obscurely." Yun Yin was always intelligent and never wasted time with circumlocution when it came to matters of the heart. So she asked again, "Did what you mentioned to me during dinner also have this underlying purpose?" Si Tingyuan explained, "I did have a selfish motive in that regard, thinking the pavilion nearest the water gets the moon first, meaning proximity provides opportunities, but more so because you're suitable. After all, you understand this project very well, and I'd feel at ease with you overseeing it." Yunyan pursed her lips slightly and smiled faintly. "Don't be too quick to refuse. You can give it some good thought. It's also a rare opportunity for growth," Si Tingyuan said softly. After entering the elevator, Yunyan was still thinking about Si Tingyuan's words. It wasn't the words about mutual benefit, but Si Tingyuan's phrase, "also a rare opportunity for growth," that truly appealed to her. She was bound to be involved in the company's affairs, but involvement also required the right approach. Just as she was about to enter her apartment, her stomach indeed started acting up. Yunyan let out a heavy sigh, realizing she hadn't escaped it after all. It seemed she would have to stick to bland food for a few more days. As soon as she entered, she saw a pair of men's leather shoes in the entryway, spotless and custom-made. Yunyan was stunned. Without even having time to change her shoes, she hurried to the living room, only to freeze the next second. Sitting on the sofa was none other than Jiang Yinyan. He was leaning back, seemingly casually reading a book, but in fact his expression was slightly cold. When he looked up at her, his gaze was heavy. "You're back." Yunyan was beyond shocked, but she couldn't withstand the churning in her stomach. Seeing that Jiang Yinyan was about to say something else, she quickly raised her hand in a stop gesture, then turned back and rushed to the restroom. Jiang Yinyan paused slightly, putting down the book in his hand. It was a while before Yunyan emerged from the restroom, her already pale face looking even whiter, like a sheet of paper. She listlessly changed her shoes and returned to the living room, almost leaning on the sofa armrest as she sat down. Jiang Yinyan looked at her, his displeasure quite apparent in the corners of his eyes and brows. He gestured towards a coffee table. "Take it." Yunyan looked closely. 2 pills and a glass of water were already prepared. She thanked him weakly, took the medicine first. The water was warm. Yunyan was familiar with the water temperature. About 45 degrees Celsius, neither cold nor scalding. This was Jiang Yinyan's habit when pouring water for her medicine. When he was at the Yu family home, any water she took with her medicine was usually at this temperature. After taking the medicine, Yunyan huddled on the sofa and after a long while asked Jiang Yinyan, "How did you get in? Was her door lock really that flimsy?" She subconsciously glanced towards the door, a slight chill running down her spine. Jiang Yinyan seemed to read her thoughts and said in a deep voice, "The door lock should indeed be replaced. I'll have old Lu install a new one later." Yunyan was speechless for a long time. "Young Master Yin, this is my home. You're trespassing." Yunyan felt it necessary to remind him. Did he not feel there was anything wrong with such behavior? "I originally wanted to greet you, or rather, pick you up." Jiang Yinyan poured himself a glass of water, his tone neither irritated nor angry. "But I thought about how difficult it was for Fan Yuan and the Si family to sign the project, so I didn't disturb your date with Si Tingyuan." Yunyan's heart skipped a beat. She looked up at Jiang Yinyan. Jiang Yinyan didn't even lift an eyelid, his demeanor as light as a breeze. "No need to be so surprised. Knowing your whereabouts is as easy as pie for me." Only then did he raise his eyes to meet her gaze, stating word by word, "So you need to understand one thing. You're being able to sit there safely and have dinner with Si Tingyuan is because I allowed it, not because your actions luckily escaped my notice. There's nothing going on between Si Tingyuan and me, and meeting for dinner wasn't a private affair." Yunyan's stomach felt a little better. She sat up from the sofa and looked at Jiang Yinyan. "Si Tingyuan formed a project team, and he wants to hire me to fully manage it. We were having dinner, but the entire time we were discussing work matters." Although Yunyan found it ridiculous to explain her whereabouts to him, Jiang Yinyan was unpredictable. If he became displeased again, there was no telling what he might do. Jiang Yinyan remained silent, his calm expression revealing nothing of his thoughts. This left Yunyan feeling completely uncertain. Someone whose emotions don't show on their face is the hardest to guess. At such times, Yunyan would usually say no more. The more she spoke, the more likely she was to make a mistake. She feared the atmosphere would suddenly become tense and the situation uncontrollable. After a long while, Jiang Yinyan finally asked her, "What are your thoughts?" Yunyan blurted out, "Si Tingyuan and I are impossible." Jiang Yinyan glanced at her, about joining the project team. Only then did Yunyan realize, astonished. Jiang Yinyan looked at her, a half-smile on his face. "Yunyan, you're always so articulate and eloquent with others, so why do you slow down several beats when you're with me?" Yunyan gave an awkward laugh. "How can you say that?" Asterisk, she thought. "Isn't that obvious? You're so moody, and your methods are so ruthless and dark. How could I dare to say just anything in front of you?" Asterisk. Jiang Yinyan bothered not to listen to her insincere words. He leaned back on the sofa and said indifferently, "Tell me your thoughts." Hearing this, Yunyin was surprised by his sudden interest in the matter, but still communicated honestly. "I do want to get involved in the project. After all, it's a Yu family project, so my involvement is quite natural." Jiang Yinyin made no sound, waiting for her to continue. Yunyin pursed her lips and continued, "But ultimately, I'd be working for the C family, and I have some reservations." Jiang Yinyin grunted in acknowledgement. "It's not related to personal feelings. It's just that because it's a project connected to our own family, there might be many negative repercussions later on." Furthermore, Yunyin pondered for a moment. "Si Tinji being completely silent right now isn't necessarily a good thing. I'm also worried that rashly joining the project might give him leverage." Jiang Yinyin squinted at her. "I'm afraid it might affect the project's progress. Don't misunderstand." Yunyin cleverly preempted all his thoughts. Jiang Yinyin scoffed. "Those are all my thoughts. I am indeed hesitant, which is why I haven't given Si Tingyuan an answer since he proposed it." Yunyin sighed softly. Jiang Yinyin looked at her for a long time before speaking. "There's nothing to hesitate about. Just refuse it directly." Yunyin wasn't surprised by this. She lowered her gaze, remaining silent. Seeing her reaction, Jiang Yinyin chuckled. "I thought you'd argue for it. Would it be useful?" Yunyin asked him. Jiang Yinyin gave her a definite answer. "No." Yunyin laughed mockingly. "So why should I bother arguing for it?" Jiang Yinyin's expression turned slightly cold. After a long pause, he frowned. "Yunyin, would it kill you to show a little vulnerability in front of me?" His tone was clearly displeased. Yunyin froze for a long moment before realizing, then stared at Jiang Yinyin in astonishment, murmuring, "Haven't I shown enough vulnerability in front of you? Haven't I been humble enough to be trodden into the dirt?" Jiang Yinyin pressed his lips together, staring at her. "Then tell me, young Master Yin, what else do I need to do to be considered showing vulnerability?" Yunyin genuinely couldn't fathom what he was thinking. "If it were any other man, forget just men, if any man or woman broke into my house, I'd call the police immediately. But you, young Master Yin, you waltz in and even talk about changing my door lock. What have I said? I haven't even dared to utter a single word of complaint." Hearing these words, the tension in Jiang Yinyin's brows and eyes relaxed, and he unexpectedly smiled. Yunyin saw this and thought, "Asterisk, what's wrong with this man? Didn't he want to see her vulnerable?" Yet he smiled when she talked back. Asterisk. "Come here." Jiang Yinyin extended a hand towards her. Yunyin decided to adopt a humble posture, got up, and smoothly moved closer. He took the opportunity to pull her into his arms, seating her on his lap. He chuckled. "Your mouth seems quite capable of speaking, doesn't it?" I also have a right to defend myself, don't I?" Yunyin said, her body stiff in his embrace. In this position, she never dared to move too much. She had learned her lesson many times. "Yunyin, are you very afraid of me?" Jiang Yinyin raised an eyebrow slightly. Yunyin pressed her lips together, wondering how to answer this question. It seemed no matter what she said, he wouldn't be satisfied. Speechless again? "Of course I'm afraid of you," Yunyin said. This was her most genuine thought. Who wouldn't be afraid of him? Jiang Yinyin stared at her face, a half-smile playing on his lips. Yunyin lowered her gaze, looking at the tip of her nose. After a long while, he spoke languidly. "Entering your home without greeting you was indeed inconsiderate of me." Yunyin was taken aback. Her eyes widened in astonishment when she looked up at him. "An apology? But I figured you wouldn't have the guts to hide a man in your house, so I just walked right in." Jiang Yinyin's tone shifted, a hint of mischief in his eyes. "You who's hiding a man?" Yunyin was speechless. "My point is," Jiang Yinyin tightened his arms slightly, forcing her closer to him. The man's low breath brushed her ear. "If you don't want the door lock broken next time, leave me a key, or I'll have old Lu change it to a password lock." Yunyin stared at him in shock. "What are you trying to do?" "What do you mean? What am I trying to do?" Jiang Yinyin raised an eyebrow. "What do you need a key for?" Jiang Yinyin chuckled. "To make it easier to get in. Do I have to have old Lu change the lock every time?" Yunyin was rendered speechless. "No. I mean, why do you insist on coming into my home?" Asterisk, judging by his attitude. Would coming here become a regular occurrence for him in the future? That wouldn't do. What if Yuanzhou ran into him? Asterisk. Jiang Yinyin caught the fear in her eyes, but intentionally provoked her. He pressed his thin lips against hers, whispering, "So, you prefer going to a hotel?" "And no, that's not what I meant." Yunyin slightly pulled back. The look in Jiang Yinyin's eyes remained ambiguous. Yunyin didn't want to provoke him, so she explained further, "This is an old residential complex. Neighbors always see each other." The man's expression clearly soured again. At this moment, Yunyin didn't know how she had offended him this time. Was it wrong for her to have concerns? This neighborhood was full of gossip. Never mind other men. Even if Yuan Zhou came, it would draw a round of gossip from the neighbors. Those who know say they're siblings. Those who don't would think they're a young couple. Yeah, her brother's quite clingy with his sister. Or they'd secretly talk about Jiang Zhe, just because he had visited a few times. She's quite a magnet for men. Well, being pretty naturally attracts people, doesn't it? The neighbors were gossipy, but not with ill intent. Usually, they were very warm-hearted and liked to help out when anything happened. So, Yunyan usually turned a blind eye to some of the gossip about her, not responding. But if Jiang Yunyan started coming and going too, the nature of things will be different. It has nothing to do with whether it can be seen in public. The neighbors will definitely think I'm too casual. Yunyan truly had a headache, wondering why he insisted on doing this. Maybe it could be like this. Next time you want to come, just tell me in advance. She thought of a compromise. But saying this seemed to make Jiang Yunyan even more displeased. He raised an eyebrow and emphasized, "Tell you in advance? Are you very busy?" Yunyan. Not really. After a long silence, she finally spoke. "You can be reckless because you don't care. I can't. Even if our relationship has to stay hidden, I want to maintain some dignity in front of outsiders." She didn't look up, didn't meet his gaze. "In your eyes, my dignity is worthless, but what others don't care about, I can't afford not to care about, can I? I haven't reached the point of self-abandonment." The man above her didn't say a word. Even with her eyes downcast, Yunyan could feel the palpable pressure from Jiang Yunyan. She knew these words would displease him, but she really couldn't keep them unspoken. In his heart, she was lowly, unbearable. She could sell herself for some purpose, having lost the backbone of a wealthy young lady. She admitted it. So Yunyan waited, waiting for Jiang Yunyan to mercilessly rebuke her, saying, "Why didn't you think about dignity when you were lying beneath me? You threw dignity away a long time ago, and now you're trying to pick it up? Too late." She was waiting for Jiang Yunyan's fury to ignite, but it never came. Yunyan subconsciously looked up at him, but she saw Jiang Yunyan's eyes, dark and profound, unfathomable. For a moment, she couldn't guess if he was angry. Yunyan didn't meet his gaze for too long before lowering her eyes again. Then she heard Jiang Yunyan ask, "Am I others?" Yunyan paused, huh? Only then did Yunyan react. "No, I didn't mean that. What others don't care about is their business." "How do you know I don't care?" Jiang Yunyan's tone became stern. Yunyan felt a bit muddled in her head. Jiang Yunyan, however, had no intention of continuing. He patted her, "Get up." "What for?" Yunyan reacted instinctively. She subconsciously glanced at the time again. Could it be that at this hour, he already wanted that? Her panic registered in the man's eyes, and he sneered. "If you want it now, I can satisfy you." Frightened, Yunyan quickly got up, waving her hand at him. No need. My stomach isn't feeling well." Jiang Yunyan gave a half-smile. "Does that kind of thing upset your stomach?" "When my stomach hurts, I won't be in good shape. My mood being affected is nothing, but if it makes you unhappy, how bad would that be?" Yunyan forced a cheerful smile, distorting logic. Jiang Yunyan scoffed, took off his wristwatch, and placed it on the coffee table, then stood up. Yunyan backed away repeatedly. "Young Master Yin, don't." Jiang Yunyan paused his action of unbuttoning his cuff, raised an eyelid to look at her, a half-smile on his face. "Yunyan, have you forgotten how you agreed to me back then?" Yunyan's face showed alertness. Jiang Yunyan slowly continued unbuttoning his cuff. "As long as I have a need, you cannot refuse." Yunyan's hand hanging at her side subconsciously tightened into a fist. Jiang Yunyan, perfectly at ease, said, "Come here." His tone wasn't displeased, but the gentler he was, the more terrifying the sinister malice hidden within him became. Yunyan slowly stepped forward, her heart gradually rising to her throat, hanging there. Jiang Yunyan reached out and pulled her closer, leaning his face by her ear, smiling as he commanded, "Untie my tie." "Young Master Yin, it's best to be obedient." Jiang Yunyan's tone was light. Yunyan steeled herself, raised her hand, and slowly helped him untie his tie, her fingers trembling slightly. She believed Jiang Yunyan could not fail to see her resistance, nor could he fail to feel the trembling of her fingers. But he still forced her like this, probably in anger at what she had just said. Or perhaps it was a physical demonstration to make her see a fact. As long as he wished, she would have to let her hard-won dignity be trampled underfoot again, wantonly abused. The tie untied, she instinctively gripped it tightly. Jiang Yunyan saw this and chuckled deeply, pulling the tie little by little from her hand. Only then did Yunyan react and let go. The man tightened his arms slightly, and she pressed closer to him. He looked down at her, his voice low and seductive. "How do you want to be taken?" Yunyan's heart nearly leaped out of her throat, and her scalp felt as if it were pricked by needles, a tingling pain shooting through her. Just as she didn't know how to respond, her phone rang, and she secretly let out a sigh of relief. There's a call." Jiang Yinyan slightly loosened his grip. Yinyan wished in her heart that it would be Xiao Min calling, asking her out for dinner or shopping, or even asking her to be a temporary driver to pick someone up, or perhaps Mrs. Huang. It was Yuan Zhou. As Yinyan answered the phone, her peripheral vision caught Jiang Yinyan. He stepped forward, closing in on her. Yinyan felt her back instantly tense. Sure enough, the man embraced her from behind, his firm chest pressing against her back. Yinyan was completely tense. She wished she hadn't received this call. Yuan Zhou asked her if she was home yet, and what she had talked about with Si Tingyuan. How could Yinyan be in the mood for small talk at this moment? The man's large hand behind her was disobedient, reaching into her clothes. She wanted to tell Yuan Zhou that it wasn't a good time to talk, but she was afraid he would become suspicious and come straight to her door, which would create a tense atmosphere. So she could only force herself to give Yuan Zhou a brief explanation. After listening, Yuan Zhou on the other end asked her, "Are you feeling unwell?" "No," Yinyan quickly denied. "I just feel a bit tired and want to rest." In reality, the man behind her grew increasingly brazen, lowering his face, his thin lips trailing down her cheek, almost driving her to madness. Jiang Yinyan was rotten to the core. Even he himself admitted this. Once, after a passionate encounter, he held her tightly, and she saw something wild in his eyes. He bit her earlobe, his breath heavy. "Yinyan, no matter what I do to you, it's not enough. I really wish I could just finish you off." He was mad, wild, all of it hidden in his bones, making her tremble with fear. It was as if at this very moment, the man behind her could do as he pleased, because in his heart, there were no restraints. He didn't care if Yuan Zhou knew. He even intended for everyone to know that the seemingly respectable young lady was, in private, a tattered, withered branch to be trampled upon by him. Yuan Zhou, hearing this, not only didn't hang up but became quite worried. "Did you drink?" Yinyan quickly said no. She just hadn't slept well last night and was tired now. It wasn't even dark yet, so saying this would largely be seen as an excuse, but Yuan Zhou felt sorry for Yinyan and didn't question her words. He sighed softly, "Then get some rest early. I was originally thinking of taking you to see a movie. The one you like has been released." The movie isn't urgent. Yinyan tried to stand straight, but also had to retract her neck to avoid the man's breath as much as possible. Jiang Yinyan tilted his head slightly to look at her. Seeing her cheeks flushed and her earlobes adorably pink, he couldn't help but curve his lips into a smile, then leaned down and couldn't resist kissing her. Yinyan couldn't help but gasp in alarm, quickly covering her mouth. "What's wrong?" Yuan Zhou asked with concern. "I accidentally bumped my leg." Yinyan could only lie. Yuan Zhou chuckled softly on the other end of the phone. "You can bump into things even at home. How careless." Then, afraid she was truly uncomfortable, he said softly, "If you're really not feeling well, call me anytime, and I'll take you to the hospital." Yinyan hummed in acknowledgement, thinking about hanging up quickly, because it was very clear Jiang Yinyan had run out of patience. Yuan Zhou on the other end continued, "You don't need to consider Si Tingyuan's suggestion. Can't Fan Yuan still accommodate you? There's no need to work for the Si family. You know how complicated their situation is." The man's grip around her waist tightened, and Jiang Yinyan's deep voice whispered by her ear, "If you don't hang up, I can't guarantee he won't hear." Yunyan's heart was practically leaping out her chest. She told the person on the phone, "I know, I'm still considering it and haven't agreed yet. Let's talk about this later. You, Ajo, I'm tired and want to rest. Another day, when you're free, let's call Xiao Min and watch a movie together." Yuan Zhou actually wanted to say he'd come see her after his engagement tonight. It wasn't anything big. He just wanted to come over, as it seemed only with her could he truly relax. But hearing her listless tone, he couldn't force it, and said softly, "Okay, you get some good rest." After the call ended, Jiang Yinyan didn't pounce on her like a hungry tiger as she had imagined. Instead, he simply embraced her from behind. But it was just an embrace, with no further actions. His thin lips pressed against her ear, his tone light. "As your brother, Yuan Zhou has crossed a line. You also said it, he's my brother." Yunyan's heart was aflutter, yet not from fear, but simply from the man's breath, hot and deep, falling upon her. "Is that so?" Jiang Yinyan chuckled softly. Yunyan's heart gave a jolt. The next second, Jiang Yinyan turned her around. He gazed at her face, a half-smile on his own. "What about you? Have you ever thought of crossing a line?" Yunyan's scalp tingled. She subconsciously swallowed. "In my heart, he is my brother, and always will be." "That's good then." Jiang Yinyan unexpectedly curved his lips into a smile, raising a hand to gently rub her head. "You must remember, sometimes you only have to acknowledge familial affection for this relationship to last longer. Otherwise," he didn't finish his sentence, but just those unfinished words were enough to send shivers down Yunyan's spine. "All right then, what do you want to eat?" Jiang Yinyan's tone was relaxed. Yunyan was still caught in her tense emotions, unable to keep up with his rhythm. For a moment, she didn't react, Young Master Yin, I don't want. Then she stopped, encountering Jiang Yinyan's teasing expression. What do you want to eat? Yinyan asked uncertainly. Jiang Yinyan crossed his arms, his posture relaxed. You ran to the bathroom as soon as you came back. Is there any of what you ate left? Yinyan was instantly embarrassed. There really wasn't much left. She hadn't eaten much to begin with, and then her stomach acted up. She had been hungry for a while, but first, she was inhibited by Jiang Yinyan's presence, and second, she wanted to indulge in something delicious. Since her stomach was going to act up anyway, she might as well satisfy her craving first. Who knew Jiang Yinyan would stay so long? At this moment, she felt completely dissected by Jiang Yinyan. It was true. Besides Yuan Zhou, he was the only one who could so sharply pinpoint her embarrassment. Her quirks, from childhood to adulthood, were laid bare before their eyes. Seeing Jiang Yinyan still waiting for her answer, she cleared her throat. I want to eat. Spicy, greasy food is out. Don't even mention ordering takeout, Jiang Yinyan interrupted her. Yunyan's fervent enthusiasm was doused with a bucket of cold water. Her mouth opened and closed for a long time before she said, then, I won't say it. Jiang Yinyan couldn't help but smile. Unexpectedly, he wasn't angry or annoyed. He rolled up his sleeves, revealing his well-built forearms, and turned to the kitchen. Yunyan stood stunned for a long time before she reacted, then followed closely behind him. Jiang Yinyan stood by the sink, washed his hands, dried them with a paper towel, then opened the refrigerator. Yunyan stood at the doorway and whispered, Actually, I'm not hungry really. What was he going to do? Cook? Yunyan felt she must be hallucinating. Jiang Yinyan could cook? When he was at the Yu family, he would occasionally make her a snack or two, but she had never seen him cook a full meal. The Yu family had a chef, so no one else needed to cook. But Yunyan had a premonition that his cooking wouldn't be good. It was true he was agile, but he was very clumsy when it came to using a kitchen knife to cut vegetables. Back when he was at the Yu family, there was a time when they were short-staffed in the kitchen, and a yin happened to pass by and was caught by the chef, who asked him to help cut some vegetables. A yin swung the kitchen knife, and with one chop, the vegetables were minced to bits. The chef, startled, quickly snatched the knife back and said, I asked you to cut vegetables, not to chop someone down. Yunyan witnessed this scene perfectly and couldn't help but laugh heartily. A yin seemed quite embarrassed, and for once, offered an explanation. That's the only way I know how to hold a knife. This explanation, when Yunyan heard it, made her quite heartbroken. Yes, a boy who should have been carefree at his age should have been holding textbooks or perhaps a basketball, not a knife and eyes full of vigilance. Yunyan couldn't help but gently hug him then, offering comfort. Actually, she wasn't very good at comforting people, so what she said then was, don't be discouraged, you're not going to be a chef when you grow up, so it doesn't matter if your knife skills aren't good. Thinking back to herself then, she truly was something else. If she were a yin and heard that comfort, she would have kicked her away as far as possible. Jiang Yinyan took some vegetables out of the refrigerator, not a lot, but still fresh. He didn't look at Yunyan, but how could he not know what she was thinking? She was probably wishing he would leave right now, so she could order takeout. Anyway, she had medicine at home, so she could just risk it. Jiang Yinyan truly hadn't eaten. He originally had social engagements that night, but canceled them entirely. Yunyan's stomach being empty was also true, but she was very clear about what was in her own fridge. As the saying goes, even the cleverest housewife cannot cook without rice. There were hardly any ingredients, let alone Jiang Yinyan, who didn't even know how to cut vegetables. Even a Michelin-starred chef would probably be powerless. Seeing him rummaging through everything, Yunyan decided to offer a sensible suggestion. If you don't want takeout, why don't we go to a restaurant? There's a mall near my place, and a new Yunnan restaurant just opened. I heard people in the neighborhood saying their sour bamboo shoot chicken is especially authentic and delicious. Shall we go try it? Sour bamboo shoot chicken? Jiang Yinyan raised an eyebrow slightly. Yunyan gripped the doorframe and nodded vigorously. Jiang Yinyan meticulously arranged the ingredients he'd taken from the fridge, glancing at her. Yunyan, if you want to court death, I'll let you, but rest assured, even if you die, I won't let you off the hook. Yunyan found his words truly unpleasant and couldn't resist retorting. Then what would you do with my corpse? I'd stuff your corpse with ancient preservative herbs, commission a glass display case taller than a person to mount you as an ornament. And just for fun, I'd make things difficult for you, Wanzhou, so you couldn't rest in peace. If I really felt like it, I could even violate the corpse. There are plenty of things I could do. Yunyan swallowed hard. Those words weren't just unpleasant. They were utterly perverted. I'm just trying to make you face reality. There's barely anything in the fridge, and whatever's made from it won't taste good. Aren't I afraid of disappointing your Lord Yan's palate? Jiang Yinyan, unhurried, asked, Did I ask you to cook? That one question left Yunyan speechless. We're not going out anyway, so change into some comfortable clothes and wait for dinner, Jiang Yinyan said calmly. Not going out anyway. Why did that sound a bit off? If he wasn't letting her go out, then was he planning to stay the night? Yunyin felt her head grow twice its size. Oh, please no. After that, Yunyin didn't go to the kitchen to join the excitement. She simply washed up and changed into comfortable loungewear. It was getting colder outside. After sunset, a thin layer of frost had begun to form on the window panes. The acacia leaves in the neighborhood had fallen all over the ground, and the wind scattered golden flakes. This wasn't Yunyin's first winter in Beishur. Compared to the damp cold of the Jiangnan region, Beishur's winters were dry and warm. The heating in the house was excellent. Even though it was an older complex, the heating was quite good. The first time she spent winter in Beishur, she experienced days where it was freezing outside, yet warm enough indoors to wear short sleeves and eat ice cream. So, overall, aside from the air being too dry, the warm indoors was very comfortable. She had also bought a small fireplace, which she would light at night for illumination. The old Yu family mansion once had a large fireplace in the first-floor living room. Once winter arrived and it got cold, pine logs would be burned, filling the house with a faint scent of pine and cypress, making it warm and clean. Her mother was sensitive to cold, so a fireplace was indispensable. Later, Yunyin liked going to the Jiang family's house partly because they also had a fireplace. As old residences, the Jiang family's house was much older than the Yu family's. The Jiang family's fireplace was probably many years older than even old Mrs. Jiang. Every night, Yunyin would gaze at the small fireplace lamp she had bought, watching the flickering flame effect it produced. Although it wasn't a real flame, it offered a certain comfort. The weather had been gloomy all day. She wondered if it was going to snow. The heaviest snowfall Yunyin had ever witnessed was in a princely manor. That year, she was still in school. Her father had come to Beishur for business negotiations and took the opportunity to meet with the Jiang family. Since she was on holiday, she came along to Beishur. The Jiang family hosted a family banquet at a princely manor. That year, pristine white snow covered the red walls. Beneath the verandas, staff wearing imperial cloaks moved in an orderly fashion, entering one after another, carrying exquisite palace trays. An ancient tree, a red plum, grew by the wall, blooming proudly, always giving one a sense of dreaming of ancient times. That year, the Yu and Jiang families were on good terms. The elders of both families were present and chatted happily. Among the Jiang family's younger generation, there were a few close to her age, including Jiang Zhe. Wherever she went, Jiang Zhe followed, always trying to talk to her and make her laugh. Old Mr. Jiang chuckled and said to her father, the two children would be a very good match. That year, Ian didn't come to Beishur. Yunyin wondered, if Ian had also come to Beishur then, how would he have faced the Jiang family? At that time, did Ian truly know his relationship with the Jiang family? Or did he actually know who he was from the very beginning? The affairs of the world are like a grand dream. The same Beishur, yet now, things are the same, but people are different. Yunyin emerged from her old memories, pricking up her ears to listen. There was surprisingly little noise coming from the kitchen. Listening closely, she could only hear the faint sound of chopping vegetables. Did I mishear? Shouldn't there be pots and pans clattering everywhere? What's more, for a big man like him, not blowing up the kitchen would already be considered merciful. Yunyin couldn't sit still. She thought that while her kitchen wasn't huge, the appliances in it were quite good. If he messed them up, she'd have to pay to replace them. She got up and went to the kitchen. The kitchen was unusually harmonious. Steam curled up from the gas hob, and Jiang Yinyin was chopping vegetables at the counter, seemingly potatoes, with remarkably skilled movements. Yunyin couldn't have been more surprised by what she saw. Want to help? Jiang Yinyin heard her movements, but didn't look up. Yunyin scanned the counter. Plates and dishes were neatly arranged, vegetables washed and prepared, and eggs were already beaten in a glass bowl in front of him. Do you need my help? Yunyin countered. Jiang Yinyin said, just wait to eat. It's almost ready. Hearing that, Yunyin felt uncertain again. What could possibly be ready so quickly? Plain boiled cabbage? She regretted it now. If she had just ordered something delicious at the restaurant, at least her palate wouldn't have been cheated. Seeing no sign of her leaving, Jiang Yinyin put the shredded potatoes into a glass bowl filled with cold water. The starch in the potatoes was fully releasing, and the clear water quickly turned cloudy. He asked, come in and keep me company? No, that's strange. Yunyin quickly retreated. After resting for a while, she felt her stomach settle, a sign that the medicine was working. About 10 minutes later, dinner was ready. Yunyin helped carry the dishes. Jiang Yinyin had made noodles. They were the noodles she had picked up casually last time they went to the supermarket for hot pot ingredients. She had originally intended to boil them, but after their last hot pot meal, she had lost all appetite for them. And Jiang Yinyin had cooked them. A small bowl of fried meat sauce, stir-fried shredded potatoes, scrambled eggs with tomatoes, and a plate of cold-dressed spinach, with fried peanuts in the spinach. Yunyan stared at Jiang Yinyan in astonishment. Are you sure those peanuts were found in my fridge? She didn't remember buying any peanuts at all. No, Jiang Yinyan said. You have a bag of snacks, and there were peanuts inside. Yunyan gasped, her eyes wide, staring at him. That's allowed? Snacks. Just as she was about to go to the kitchen, she heard Jiang Yinyan slowly add, I saved some peanuts for cooking, and threw the rest away. Eat fewer snacks. I checked the ingredients. They're all additives. Jiang Yinyan picked up an empty bowl, his tone casual. Yunyan stared at Jiang Yinyan, almost fainting from shock. Is there a problem? Jiang Yinyan glanced at her. Those snacks were mine. Jiang Yinyan grunted in acknowledgement. So, why did you throw them away? Yunyan couldn't help but ask. Jiang Yinyan's tone remained unhurried. As I just said, there are quite a few additives, and they'll affect your health. I don't eat them every day. Jiang Yinyan stifled a laugh. But you have quite a lot of snacks. Yunyan felt a surge of frustration she couldn't express, finally gritting her teeth. I'm young, and my metabolism is good. Isn't that enough? Jiang Yinyan delivered a decisive blow. Your entire being belongs to me, so I have the right to speak and decide. Yunyan. He truly shut down all her arguments. Although there were many dissatisfactions, and, subtly, that familiar feeling of being controlled had returned. Once upon a time, she was disciplined and restrained by Ian because of her gluttony. Only when she was truly craving something would he turn a blind eye. If her parents asked, he would kindly help her cover it up a little. Most of the time, he would follow behind her, glance at whatever she picked up, and usually, he would disapprove of it again. Now it was that feeling again, but the Ian of yesteryear wouldn't have said, your entire being belongs to me, so I have the right to speak and decide. He would only say, it's not good for Mrs. Health, you shouldn't eat it. But the noodles before her were not unfamiliar. Fried sauce noodles, she said. Jiang Yinyan grunted, placed the side dishes and meat sauce into the bowl, pushed it toward her, and then moved a bowl of noodle broth to the side. Yunyan looked at the meat sauce and noodle broth, overcome with emotion. She wasn't averse to fried sauce noodles, but she had particular habits when eating this type of noodle. Back then, the Yu family chef could never make fried sauce noodles to her satisfaction. Most of the time, it didn't meet her taste. She liked fried sauce noodles with fried meat sauce. The meat had to be pork, neither too fatty nor too lean. There needed to be a layer of oil on top of the meat sauce, and this oil couldn't be too thin or too thick. She didn't like too many side dishes in her fried sauce noodles, disliking things like beans and shredded carrots. However, she had very high demand for the texture of the noodles themselves. They had to be just right in terms of softness and firmness. Finally, it absolutely had to be served with a bowl of noodle broth. This broth had to be the original cooking water. As the saying goes, original broth aids original digestion. So, every time she wanted fried sauce noodles, the chef would get a headache. Now that she was in Beishur, Yuanzhou had tried to take her to eat fried sauce noodles several times, saying that Beishur was the perfect place to get authentic fried sauce noodles. But she had never gone even once. She actually disliked the two authentic versions. No one could make it the way she liked it. Even her own attempts didn't taste good. At one point, Yunyan didn't think she was picky and had tried making it herself a few times according to her own ideas. But it was clearly a simple matter, with not difficult steps, yet she alone couldn't make it well, and it never tasted the way she wanted. So she simply stopped eating it. Yunyan looked at the bowl of noodles before her, thinking, can this possibly be good? Seeing that she wasn't picking up her chopsticks, Jiang Yinyan simply did it himself. He took the chopsticks and the bowl in front of her, mixing the meat sauce and simple side dishes with the noodles. I'll do it myself. She didn't finish. With just a glance from Jiang Yinyan, she immediately gave up. She just sat there, arms crossed on the table, watching the bowl in his hands, like a husky waiting for its meal. Jiang Yinyan, for some reason, made this connection and couldn't help but curve his lips into a smile. Yunyan watched him warily, not understanding why he was smiling. Then she looked at the noodles in the bowl. Could it be some dark cuisine? Or maybe he poisoned it. Jiang Yinyan's movements as he mixed the noodles were unhurried, and he used just the right amount of force. He picked up the noodles as he mixed, allowing the meat sauce to fully incorporate with them. Gradually, the bowl of white noodles became glossy and oily, with a very appealing color. Even though Yunyan was sitting opposite him, she could smell the fragrant meat sauce, coating the noodles and side dishes. Just looking at it made her hungry. She couldn't help but lean forward. The bowl was indeed perfect in color and aroma. Now she just wondered about the taste. Sit properly, Jiang Yinyan said in a flat tone. Yunyan immediately sat properly, stretching her neck, waiting. See? She was like a husky again. Once the noodles were mixed, when he handed them to her, the chopsticks still carried the scent of the man's fingers, cool and clean. He had clearly washed his hands, so how did his scent still linger? Yunyan didn't dwell on it, picked up her chopsticks, and began to eat. One bite. It was indeed delicious. The noodles were perfectly cooked to her preferred al dente texture. The key was the incredibly fragrant fried meat sauce. It had a sheen of oil, but wasn't greasy. The side dishes, neutralized by the meat sauce, were surprisingly fresh and sweet. Taking a shallow sip of the noodle broth, she felt instant comfort from her esophagus to her stomach, such a feeling of satisfaction. The stir-fried shredded potatoes looked plain, but they held a surprise on the palate. They had the aroma of chili but weren't spicy, nor did they irritate her stomach. The potatoes were perfectly cooked, crisp yet not raw. The cold-dressed spinach, balanced by the peanuts, was both sweet and savory and crunchy. The scrambled eggs with tomatoes, however, were the absolute best. Such an ordinary dish, so common she didn't even like it. But today, after tasting Jiang Yinyan's scrambled eggs with tomatoes, she realized it wasn't that she disliked the dish itself, but that all previous versions she'd eaten, including those made by the Yu family's cook, simply hadn't hit her taste buds right. The eggs had fully absorbed the aroma of the tomatoes, subtly sour and sweet, the egg curd smooth. The tomato skins had been entirely removed, so they didn't affect the texture, and a small spoonful added to the noodles was exceptionally delicious. Yunyan didn't speak a word throughout the meal. Her mouth was too busy eating. She quickly finished one bowl, and Jiang Yinyan served her another half bowl. She still felt she hadn't had enough. Jiang Yinyan said, "This is all I made. You shouldn't eat too much at night. 1.5 bowls of noodles are more than enough." That might be true, but she couldn't resist how delicious it was. It was only then that she noticed Jiang Yinyan hadn't touched his chopsticks. Yunyan let out a small gasp, immediately feeling quite embarrassed. "You haven't eaten yet." Perhaps, but it wouldn't be appropriate to offer him this half bowl in front of her, would it? But then she heard Jiang Yinyan say, "Today is Hani Festival. I only drink water and don't eat." Yunyan was taken aback. Not eating on Hani Festival, but he had just said he was hungry. He didn't have this habit when he was with the Yu family, nor did she ever see him caring about holidays. She figured something must have happened after he left the Yu family for him to be this way. Getting involved in this topic was quite risky. There was a time when whenever that person was mentioned, Jiang Yinyan would look at her with daggers in his eyes, wishing he could cut her into 1,000 pieces. No, to be precise, wishing he could dismember her father if her father were still alive. Yunyan had once said, "Her father is no longer alive. Can't you let it go then?" Jiang Yinyan had sneered. "Let go? Death is too easy for Yue Yuan. So the evil he committed, you all will bear the consequences." After that, it wasn't that Yunyan hadn't secretly investigated the matter, wondering if there were many things she didn't know about her father, Yue Yuan. She couldn't do it openly, and more importantly, she couldn't mobilize so many connections to do so. She privately felt that there might be a hidden truth regarding her father's involvement in the death of Jiang Yinyan's friend. As expected, after this topic was brought up, Jiang Yinyan's expression turned sour, and his gaze visibly turned cold and chilling. Yunyan was already mentally prepared. She said to Jiang Yinyan, "Even if I'm to die, you should at least let me die knowing why. You want me to repay the debt my father left behind, but the prerequisite is that you first tell me what that debt is." Jiang Yinyan's face was grim. He looked at her, his eyes like ice. After a long while, he said, "Yunyan, you need to understand one thing. My hatred for your father is one aspect, but your staying by my side has nothing to do with my desire to retaliate against your father." Yunyan was taken aback. Jiang Yinyan stared at her, then suddenly smiled, as if the coldness between his brows had softened, but the chill in his eyes remained. "Let me just ask you, do you dare to leave me?" Yunyan pursed her lips. Jiang Yinyan leaned back. "If it were truly about repaying a debt, given what your father did, throwing you to the wolves 1,000, 10,000 times wouldn't satisfy my hatred. But Yunyan, now it is you who cannot leave me, and dare not leave me. Then why don't you let me go?" Yunyan clutched her chopsticks tightly. "When I asked for your help, there were many ways you could have demanded repayment. Must you make me feel so debased? Isn't that what you want to see? Yes, I don't dare to leave you, but if you just say you won't make things difficult for me anymore, I'll leave without another word. You're clearly tormenting me. So how can you justify this behavior so grandiosely?" She had thrown caution to the wind by saying this. Yunyan waited for Jiang Yinyan to fly into a rage or to storm off with a dark expression. Such a judgment was based on her past experiences. But what she never expected was that, not only did he not get angry, he didn't even show a hint of displeasure in his eyes. It was as if these harsh words had passed through his ears like a gentle breeze, not reaching his heart, and thus eliciting no emotional fluctuations. He merely looked at her, his voice unhurried when he spoke. "Only by making things difficult for you will you be apprehensive. At least not now. If you dare to leave, I dare to make you and your Yu Wanzhou wish you were dead." Yunyan felt that all her indignation had landed squarely on cotton, but this ball of cotton was aggressive. It didn't allow her to vent her frustration with its resistance, but instead lightly inflicted heavy damage upon her. After a long while, she finally asked, I don't understand the purpose of what you're doing. Why must I stay by your side? Jiang Yinyan's gaze fell on her face, as if appraising her, and also pondering. After a brief silence, he slowly spoke. It's very simple. Because I haven't gotten tired of you yet. I told you, only when I'm tired of playing, will you have the right to leave my side. Yinyan gripped her chopsticks so tightly her fingers hurt. She gritted her teeth. We only agreed to 1 year. Jiang Yinyan slowly stood up. Yunyan's scalp tingled at the sight. She instinctively swallowed, nervously. She didn't know what he wanted to do. Her entire body bristled with defensive prickles. The man walked behind her, raised a hand and gently clasped her tense shoulders, and chuckled softly. So what's the hurry? We have plenty of time. Yunyan's heart sank. Are you done eating? Jiang Yinyan asked. Yunyan paused. Once your stomach and intestines have been damaged, you need to take good care of them for a few days. You might think it's nothing because you're young now, but you're quite capable of being reckless. Jiang Yinyan's grip on her shoulder loosened slightly, and he added, Eat bland food for another 2 days. Control your cravings. Did you hear me? Yunyan hadn't expected him not only not to be angry, but to say something like this, and for a moment, she was stunned into silence. Jiang Yinyan lightly squeezed her shoulder. Yunyan nodded. Seeing her consent, he said nothing more, and reached out to collect the bowls and chopsticks. So Yunyan watched, wide-eyed, as he cleared the dining table. Wait, what's going on? When Jiang Yinyan carried all the dishes back to the kitchen and placed them in the sink, Yunyan couldn't help but follow him in. Seeing him turn on the faucet, she quickly stopped him. You're not going to wash the dishes, are you? Jiang Yinyan looked at her. Otherwise? Don't you usually wash dishes after eating? It's not that. Yunyan felt he was too strange today. He cooked for her, didn't eat himself, then cleared the table, and now intended to wash the dishes? This really didn't fit their current relationship. I mean, leave these dishes, I'll wash them myself. You already cooked the meal. How can I trouble young Master Yin to wash the dishes? Yunyan felt that since Jiang Yinyan hadn't gotten angry, she shouldn't push her luck. It would be better to retreat to advance, stabilize him first, and then slowly figure things out later. She glanced at the clock on the wall again, a smile playing on her lips. Look, it's getting late. Don't delay any longer. What time is it? Jiang Yinyan interrupted her calmly, deliberately. Do you want it now? Yunyan felt her heart almost leap out her chest. Seeing her resentful but speechless, Jiang Yinyan's lips curved slightly, and there was even a hint of a smile in his eyes. I'll wash the dishes. As for matters in bed, we have all night, no rush. Who's rushing? Yunyan blurted out, then immediately realized the key point. You're not leaving tonight? Leave? Why would I leave? Jiang Yin gestured towards the window. It's already dark. Yunyan's scalp tightened. Why aren't you leaving? Seeing Jiang Yinyan raise an eyebrow and look at her, she quickly added, I mean, you're so busy. Don't you have a lot of social engagements? No engagements today. Compared to her panic, Jiang Yinyan was calm and collected. Then he suddenly asked her, Am I unwelcome? He had asked something with the same meaning twice tonight. Yinyan paused, instinctively shook her head. No. Then is there a problem with me staying tonight? Jiang Yinyan asked again. Yinyan, in a panic, but this is my home. Jiang Yinyan smiled. I don't go to other people's homes either. Yunyan. She didn't know how to respond. Back in the living room, Yunyan still felt dizzy and muddled. Jiang Yinyan was truly unpredictable in his moods. Jiang Yinyan washed the dishes, using her inability to touch cold water as an excuse. She actually wanted to say that there was hot water for washing dishes, and also a dishwasher. But her mind was currently a jumbled mess, simply because this man had, on a whim, decided not to leave today. Yunyan had always felt that home was a private domain, especially her own solo residence. She could invite family and friends, but it didn't mean allowing someone to slowly intrude on her territory. Jiang Yinyan was doing exactly that at this moment, seemingly already influencing her life. This was her only pathetic little life, solely her own, within her own territory.